Destiny 2. As nowadays money-hungry movie arcs would have you believe, it is indeed a sequel to what was one of the biggest content letdown on game release titles to date before other sci-fi games decided to saunter on in and steal the spotlight. Keep them coming, there's more. Released in September of last year, D2 was only on the shelves a month and a half before Bungie announced that the game will be available for free trial. I wonder why. Allowing the player to delve into a good beginning chunk of the campaign, several open worlds, PvP, and a farm. There's reasons as to why they did this, but I'm not a politician, so I'm gonna keep my nose out of it. I was never a Destiny franchise fan, so I had no interest in it. Then I heard there was the free trial, so I thought, well, I don't gotta spend anything, so why not give it a go? The first step is creating a revered and stallioned martial-trained hero whose face and name would be remembered through the sands of time.
With nothing.
Nah. You can't name your character, so I just called him Bernie, and Bernie sexually identifies as an Oompa Loompa. One lie. Cinematics? Beautiful. And the aesthetics? Slap you right in the face, breathtaking. But they'd have to be, because there's $500 million invested into this series. Well, I really hope this spills over into the gameplay, and it does. The movement is fluid, the combat feels good, and the guns! They feel amazing. Easily my favorite part of the game. Reminds me of Halo. Wait a minute! My favorite is this Sun revolver that sounds like a motorbike just crashed into an acoustics room. Being a first-person shooter though, you'd best hope they've made feel-good guns. It's 90% of the experience, especially with this game. The campaign is plot-heavy in some places and super weak in others. As stated earlier, I never played the first game, and Dust My Knee 2 does not wait for you. It's like, see this giant ball in the sky? Apparently it's into S&M, and not in the healthy way. Zurg from Toy Story shows up and he's jacked on roids. He makes a seriously compelling argument about the whole situation as to why the ball in the sky only grants powers, or the light, to chosen ones, which I can totally agree with. So I'm on this guy's side. Like, heavily. I won't ruin much more of the story, but the more I learned about this guy, the more I liked him and hated the good guys. But there were more reasons why I hated the protagonists than this. The dialogue in this game is written by a 12-year-old. There's no beating around the bush on it, and it doesn't even try to hide it. Here's a quick example.
Break it up, Fallen, or you'll break them.
This was, I guess, kinda cool the first time I heard it, and then...
Break it up, Fallen, or you'll break them. Break it up, Fallen. Break it up, Fallen.
Crumbling some plain cookies such as graham crackers or
Break it up.
I'm gonna break this fucking game. The script is so poor, and if anything, it keeps taking you out of the moment to remind you you're playing a video game. The moveset in Class Division is really nice, and thanks to the visual team's magic, it's so easy for you to get lost in a world that's stark and incomprehensible from our normal single jump mechanic lives. But the moment the characters open their mouth, Nathan Fillion, though! Can I get an amen for Nathan? I am so glad that whenever Kate 6 talks that he was voiced by the beautiful Phil Loins, and he does the character justice. His lines were straightforward, but the delivery is perfect. Nothing against the other voice actors, just their lines were incredibly dull and sometimes made the character even more unlikable. But Cade 6 holds a special place in my heart. The playable content itself is really enjoyable. The world events that happen, though perhaps repetitive, deliver so much in creativity and memorable encounters. You can turn any global event into a heroic one by defeating certain enemies in a time limit or destroying objects that affect rituals, and it feels amazing. Aside from writing issues that the campaign suffers from, the actual combat and objectives involved in the story are fun as hell. The atmosphere the game sets, particularly with the opening missions, are so spine-tingling intense that unless you're playing through it to level a new character, you pace yourself because you don't know what's around the corner. If only for the fact that between each mission you jump back to the open world, I would have found myself seamlessly hitting launch to each mission one after another. The PvP is okay. I give it a solid meh out of pretty good. They've designed it so you can use any gun you want that you own, but the numbers have a solid baseline, so you can, for example, go in as a level 5 and still put up a decent fight versus a level 25. But for me, it certainly wasn't the be-all and end-all, and I'm a PvP fanatic. I love competitive modes, but this doesn't even scratch the surface against other FPS or MMO PvP comparisons. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten around to do as many raids or dungeons or whatever the fuck they're called in space that I wanted to yet because I'm still too low level, but for the little bits I've experienced, it's pretty good. The community responds well to them, and the content continues to come out on a regular basis, integrating new raids and bosses. As a side note, I found the soundtracks to the game to be kind of underwhelming. I actually have them turned off. None of the soundtracks deliver anything memorable or stand out from other titles. Warframe, now there's some amazing soundtracks in space. Again, I haven't gone the full route down the game, maybe it gets better in places, but it felt cheap and kind of uninspired. So, the big question, did I spend money on the $500 million game series? At first, shortly after downloading the 28GB download, I wasn't sold. But as my schedule became more hectic and I could only find 30 minutes of leisure time before sleeping and dreaming about a tour in Willy Wonka's factory, I found Dentistry 2 Electric Boogaloo to be a worthwhile experience. The story isn't gripping enough to keep you, but the gameplay is entertaining enough to make you stay playing and looking forward to the next bullet hell adventure. $40 is steep, and personally I waited for a sale, but I ended up getting it. If you can ignore the politics and slight upheavals around it, as well as just turn off your sound for dialogue and music, except for Kate, the game as a function works well. If you're looking for a game to get lost in for story, play Minecraft. But if you want a feel-good FPS with crisp inputs and a diverse playstyle that you can tailor to your wants and needs, then wait for Humble Bundle to announce a Destiny feature and go nuts. Or just get Warframe, because it's awesome. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more, do that thing with the subscribe button. You know what I'm talking about. And let us know below in the comment section. If you want to hit the bell to stay alerted for new uploads, that's totally fine too. Follow us on Facebook to stay up to date with our generation-defining Gex website, aiming to be one gaming platform to rule them all. Links are in the description, and happy gaming.
I've got this. You know, when you're in that, you go, I got this. But man, I so did not have it.